Hello, hello, and welcome. Jana, I'm so glad to get to meet you online. I know I would love to meet you in person someday, but this is the best we can do for now. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's lovely to meet you too.
Now, for those who don't know you, let's just pretend like you're reaching an absolutely blank audience who has no idea who you are, where you're from. Can you tell me just a little bit about yourself? Where are you from and what type of art do you do?
I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. I have lived in North Carolina all of my life. And I mainly do collage. I'm sort of venturing into the mixed media collage realm. In the past, I've done a little bit of everything, like most of us. I used to hand paint furniture and glassware, and of course, started the scrapbooking and a lot of creative ventures. I enjoy interior design and a lot of thrifting. I have a little booth that I sell my work and some thrifted stuff, but my main artwork is mixed media collage.
I love that so much. And do you work on like on boards or on canvas or what is your substrate?
Most of the time, I work on paper.
Okay.
I have more recently started doing a few more originals on canvas, but most of the time I do work on paper and I'll scan it and sometimes print it onto collage or, print it for framing. But I really got back into art and specifically collage a couple years ago when I did my first ICAD index card a day challenge and started on those little index cards and fell in love with the size and just the ease of using them. Sometimes I don't use index cards, I'll use watercolor paper or something else, but typically 4x6 and on paper is what I do.
Oh, that's fabulous. So that is so fascinating that the size matters, right? Like
Besides
sometimes,
I've
yeah.
tried to work larger. I've done a few pieces that are larger and I'm never happy with them. They don't just come out of me like the small pieces. And I really enjoy the smaller pieces.
Yeah, that's so cool. I've done several challenges myself, and the one that I was most successful at was I was working on they're actually Zentangle tiles, but they're 3.5 by 3.5, and that size was perfect for me. The next year, I decided I wanted to try and do a 365 challenge. I wanted to do one for every day, so I made them like 1 by 3. That didn't work. It was too small. There's like
Yeah,
this sort of sweet spot of size that's fascinating.
I think everybody has that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. I did not know that about you. When I think I first started becoming more aware of your feed on Instagram, which is beautiful, by the way. Um, you were doing something with aprons. Tell me about that. What was going on with that? That was so cool.
I did for the first time this year, I participated in the 100-day project. And, I had other challenges going on too, and a lot, going on at home and with my health. And so I was a little unsure that I could keep up with 100 days. I was a little unsure that I could create every day. And so I kind of thought, what can I do that's maybe a little easier, that maybe I could batch days and whatever. And just thought of doing the artist aprons. I have a large collection. I don't have 100. Everybody asks me, do you have 100? But I have, maybe 50 or 60, and people have been sending me aprons. So I'm getting even more, but just started collecting aprons. It started with a couple of aprons of my mom's that I found when we cleaned her stuff out, and just started collecting artist aprons, which of course come in so handy. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to show them. Everybody would probably like to see the collection. And so I did an apron a day. I changed up the outfits when I started had having to repeat. And everybody really, I was just thrilled with the response because I thought, yeah, after about 5 or 6 days, everybody's going to get tired of seeing me, in aprons.
No, it was precious. I loved it so much. And that's the thing. I never get in front of the camera. Like you'll see my hands in videos, but not my face. And so that was really good for me to be like, oh,
I had
that
not
was,
done much of it until then. I was
yeah.
very hesitant to get in front of the camera too. Most days I don't wear makeup. I'm at home all day, so I don't, dress up or anything. And I was very self-conscious about it, but I started doing it and it really became easier. And the compliments that everybody gave me, and, the fact that I had so many people say, you have encouraged me to show myself.
Yeah.
And I kept doing it because of that, because of the responses. I just was a little overwhelmed with the response.
That's so awesome. I love that so much. And thank you for sharing that. And thank you for being brave, because doesn't it, sometimes it's not necessarily it's not even necessarily the art, but it's the bravery and the courage to share it, right? That it takes. So you are one of the inspiring artists that we are featuring in this upcoming Under the Influence series, which is, I just liken it to, going to an artist. If you were a chef, we would be going to your restaurant and eating a meal or partaking a meal and just savoring what you have prepared for us, which is what we're doing artistically. And then we will, excuse me, we will go off on our own during our session, and we are going to make our own meal. And we may use some ingredients that you've inspired us to use. So some of the techniques and some of the maybe motifs and maybe some of the colors that you use or that sort of thing. It's never going to turn out the same. Obviously, we're not you, but we love doing this because it helps us stretch and expand our palate, if you will, to use the food analogy. I don't know why this food analogy really stuck, but it just makes sense to me, right? That's what we're doing. And I'm curious, who in the art world or art journaling, maybe specifically, but broad sense, in the contemporary, like right now, art world, who inspires you?
Well, first of all, I think what you're doing with this Under the Influence is fantastic. I don't think I've ever seen anything similar. And I just think it's wonderful how you're doing this. And I'm very flattered to be chosen and be a part of it. I follow so many art. I have so many art, and I consider them friends on Instagram. I don't know really what I would do without that art community on Instagram. Literally, I really don't. And there's so many, there's no way I could ever list the ones that inspire me, because they all do every day. But what it does inspire me from them is when they post about the struggles that they have, whether it's the creative struggles that they're going through or personally. And to see their struggles and to listen to their struggles every day and see that they're still creating, that they, none of those struggles keep them from making art. They get in there every day and they do it. And, they're inspiring me. And that just fuels me. I've got my own struggles every day. And, I don't know what I would do without art as the outlet and as the thing that gets me out of bed every day and makes me excited every day. And to see that other people, have similar struggles, have their own struggles, have what they're dealing with, they're feeling creative blocks or whatever it is, but they keep going.
Yeah.
And it encourages me to do the same thing.
Oh, I love that so much. I wholeheartedly 100% agree. I love the backstory. I love the transparency. I love the honesty. I've done that a couple of times too. Like, how many times do we need to see a pristine, beautiful? I mean, there are some studios, Ray Missigman, that I absolutely, and Robin Marie Smith, that I absolutely, I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, it's just like white and pristine and gorgeous. And then I take a span around my piles, and it's just not pretty. It's just not.
Well, and mine is fun, and I guess most people would call it pretty. I know, I tried to show all the angles of it when I was doing the apron post, but I also filmed a video just recently and posted it of it when it was a disaster, and I was redoing it. And, obviously it doesn't look neat and tidy. I am an organized person. That is something that I just kind of OCD about, but it doesn't look that way all the time. You go through and you do a big cleanup, and then you take the pictures,
Right. Then it
it
looks
looks like
pretty, and I can feel super creative for a minute, and then the piles come back.
That's right.
Absolutely. Well, So speaking of supplies and being organized, I always love asking an artist that we're inspired by, what is a supply that you just could not, an art supply that you just could not live without? And I won't limit it to one, it could be one or two. What are your go-to things that you always have at hand? I'll tell you what mine are. They're right in front of me. Matte medium and gesso. Like I don't know. They're like the staples. They're like the, bread and butter.
Well, obviously being a collage artist, it's got to be, my papers, but specifically I have, and I'm kind of looking at them. I have 2 shelves full of bird books, and I collect the bird guides, and I use birds so often in my work. And the reason I do, I mean, I love them. They're beautiful. I love watching them. But I kind of got that from my dad, who was a big bird watcher. Loved them. And when I was little, he would bundle me up in his jacket, and we would go out in the snow and feed the birds. And even his last few weeks when he was in hospice, we hung a bird feeder out for him to watch. I mean, that was his thing. And I kind of feel connected to him by using birds, and they're just so beautiful. So I've always got my bird books, and at least 80% of my collages, I'm gonna use them. So that's my main supply.
That's fabulous. And that was actually one of my next questions, is where do you source your imagery? So there's the answer, bird books. Do you have
I vintage books. I go to all the used bookstores, the vintage, the antique, the thrift, all of that. I'm always picking up books. I have way more than I can ever possibly use, but I'm still picking up them as I see them. And I do try to, when I sit and go through a book and take out the images, often I will make a stack for me. And then I make a stack of ones that, I probably won't use that, but somebody will. And I keep them in a big box. And when I try to send out, happy mail to people, I try to send stuff that I know that they'll use and pass them along. And, I don't want any of them to go wasted, but that's where I get most of them. I do get some of them online. I know a lot of the public libraries now have the free domain, free use images. I know Audubon just released a bunch, and I'll get them occasionally, and print them online, but give me a used book that I can tear up,
That is fabulous. Have you heard of Abe Books, ABE, Abe Books online? So it's as my feelings about Amazon, are what they are, but it's like the Amazon of used books. And so it's like a network of all thrift stores across everywhere. Like you can even find them in different countries, but I pick the ones that are in the US, and they're usually free shipping and really low cost, like a few dollars. Sometimes there's collector books on there, but I found some really great things. So Abe, ABE, abebooks.com. I'm sorry, and you're welcome.
Yes, you've gotten me.
I'm sorry, and you're welcome. Yeah.
When the pandemic started and I couldn't get to all the thrift stores and the used bookstores, I finally went on Instagram and started looking up the sellers of vintage books. And there was about 2 months there that I didn't even tell my husband how much I spent. I mean, it was ridiculous how much I spent, because I just had missed that.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get through them. There were some of them that I bought and they couldn't use them as much. And so I'd pass them along. But I just miss being able to go out and so, yeah, thanks a lot.
Sorry. So I want to link up where I post this. I will link up links to your website. Can you tell us a little bit about what you have going on? Any classes do you teach online classes? Do you?
I don't. I have been asked multiple times, especially recently, to teach.
Mm-hmm.
I've been asked to teach year-long, classes. I've been asked to teach little quick ones, and I've said no to almost all of them. Teaching is just not really my thing. I almost hate to admit it, but I was actually trained as a teacher. I did get my certificate to teach, and I did teach in elementary school for a couple of years. It just wasn't my thing. And unfortunately, I would try some of it because I enjoy especially the camaraderie with the other artist teachers. And I hate saying no. When somebody says, "Oh, we'd love to learn how you do that," I hate telling somebody no, because I would love to show them. I'd love for everybody to do it. But my energy is so limited. My health is not great. My energy is limited, and I also take care of my daughter who's very ill. So I just the little bit of time and energy that I have, I just want to be making stuff. And if I agree to
Yeah.
teach, I will put so much into that I won't be making. So I've decided that that's just not my area. There's enough great teachers out there that I like taking classes from, that I'm not going to jump into that mix, and I'm going to let somebody else handle that. And I'm just going to try to do the inspiration and send out the joy and make stuff. So
Jana, I love that so much. I have so enjoyed just getting to know you this morning a little bit more, and really connected right now with that. It feels like you know what your core values are and you're sticking with those, and you are finding joy in the moments that you can, and like, that is so wise. I love that advice so much, because I think a lot of us try to do everything, so we're like, oh, let me try to do all these things, and then we get scattered and we don't do any of them with our full joy. So I love
well,
that.
well, thank you. I love challenges. And the reason I do, and a lot of people are scared by challenges. So I just want to say, don't be scared by challenges. Challenges to me keep me creating. I have so many ideas. I have a notebook of ideas. I have them swirling in my head that sometimes I get a little overwhelmed and I can't even start. And I get that kind of paralysis. But if I know that I've got a challenge coming up, and I know that I've decided to participate, it kind of gets me in the studio creating.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do a challenge every day. You don't have to do every prompt. If you only do one, that's great. Sometimes I'll start a challenge. I just did recently, and I did about 3 days, and something else came along and I wanted to do that. And I'm like, if I get back to it, I get back to it. And if not, so I really do encourage people not to be scared of challenges and not to feel like you have to do them 100%. Just,
Yeah.
if it sounds fun, just dip your toes in. And
Uh,
it's just a great way to keep creating, make it work for you.
I love that too. Permission to not complete something. I've had this conversation repetitively over the last few days. It's just funny. Do you ever find that subjects like that come up and they keep coming up and they keep coming up? You're like, these are with different groups of people and the same thing keeps coming up. Maybe there's something I need to hear in there. But this permission to not finish, but that the process, like you said, dipping the toe in is enough. That's
Yes.
enough.
And if you just get one little idea, it's like
Yeah.
classes. I've bought a lot of classes that I haven't taken, that I haven't finished, but that's okay. And I'll get to them at some point. And if I don't, even if I watch a few lessons, I'm going to get something from that's
Yeah.
going to come out of my art. It's okay.
Yeah.
Do it whatever works for you.
We are so similar. It's crazy. I said the same thing yesterday. I'm the worst at, I sign up for online classes, and mainly it's because I love the teacher. I
Yes.
want to support the teacher. And I'm like, if the teacher has my money, if I ever get to it, that's fine. But I want to support the artist and just let it be that.
I
Right.
do the same thing. Yep.
And if I get something out of it eventually, that's fine. But that's my main, when I'm signing up for something, I know there is a high probability that I'm not going to complete it. And I'm still okay with that.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it has been so much fun chatting with you. And I look forward to getting to know you better. And I would love to do something else with you in the future. So if you ever think of something that you want to collaborate on, I am right there with you. I know you don't want to teach, but anything else, like, let's do it. I really have
Absolutely.
enjoyed chatting with you. And
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Just please reach out to me anytime. And I've enjoyed getting to know you. And thank you so much. I'm so flattered that you would choose me and choose my work. It just means so much to me.
oh, you're so sweet, and your work is delightful, and I can't wait to look at it and guide some people to looking at it, and share what we come up with in our art journals inspired by you. So thank you so much for your inspiration.
You're
It,
welcome. I'll be thrilled to see it.
it was great chatting with you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.